Jason here from Off the Beaten Path. This video is the second video from my family trip back late last year where we stayed at Yarrangobily Caves. This is the second day. We're just heading out from the Lyrebird Cottage there. That turn off on the right that you just saw is down to the parking area where you can walk down to the thermal pools at Yarrangobily Caves. I really don't recommend that you swim in those thermal pools. Just my 2 cents. I've gotten sick from swimming in them, and I know other people who have as well. Maybe it was the time of year, maybe not, I'm not sure, but anyway, just my 2 cents on that one. So this is the road out of Yarrangobily Caves. As I said on the other video, there's one access road in, which is on the northern side, and then you follow that all the way through and you head out this way. It's quite a scenic little drive, mostly two-wheel drive access really, so it's an easy drive, and again you can see the impact that the bushfires have had over time here. It's, you know, as I keep saying, it's 18 months, 2 years since the bushfires, and the bush is still recovering, but it's great to see that it is recovering. So in heading out here, we head out to the Snowy Highway. This drive takes sort of around probably 15-20 minutes, but obviously I haven't shown you the entire thing. We're just coming up now to the intersection at the exit where, as you can see there, that's the Snowy Mountains Highway, and we'll be turning left back towards Chimmet to head to Long Plain. It's only a short trip, probably about 3 or 4 k's along the Snowy Mountains Highway before we turn off onto the Long Plain Road. As you can see, you get some idea there of the view. It's easy to forget when you're seeing all this open country that you're up at sort of 1400 metres here. It's a huge open plain and well deserves the name Long Plain. Yeah. It just stretches off into the horizon there, as you can see. So this is the access just down the end here on this bend, I think. Yeah, that was the sign just there, Long Plain Road. So we'll be turning in here very shortly. And so today we're heading to Long Plain Hut, which is where we're going to camp. We ended up booking the Lyrebird Cottage sort of last minute because of some forecast weather that didn't really eventuate, but it was a great place to stay. So we're still going to go and check out the hut and the campground there, and then from there up to the Coolemon Homestead, and then on to Blue Waterholes. And we end up doing a gorge walk there at the Nicholls Gorge. So just now we're just driving on the access road into Long Plain Hut. So it's a couple of k's off the main Long Plain Road. There's plenty of camping areas, and there's a designated horse camping area as well, which is just to the left. So that track to the left there that you're seeing, that takes you to the horse camping area, and the main camping area here is up ahead. So you can see these trees. If you go around to the right there, that's that grassed area off to the right is the start of the camping area. It sort of runs right along there, and you can see that peach coloured building in the distance there is the Long Plain Hut. And there were a few people camping here. Long Plain Hut is a little bit unique in that it's pretty much the only high country hut that was built as a permanent residence, and it was originally built in 1916 for the management of the grazing leases in the area, and was leasehold in private hands up until the late 1960s, after which New South Wales Parks and Wildlife took over management of the hut, and it was fully refurbished in 2002. I didn't get a lot of video footage there because we were on holiday and we weren't really planning to make a video of this. We just kind of took a little bit of footage, and I ended up wanting to share this with everybody because it was such an amazing area. north here along the Long Plain Road. It's noteworthy as well that on the way in here we did actually pass the Murrumbidgee River. This is it that we're just crossing now. A little bit of traffic around, but not heaps of vehicles. And you can see evidence of a little bit of rain, but nothing was too wet or too soft. Driving conditions were pretty good. And it's just an amazing part of the country to get up and explore. Lots of history. Often, as regular watchers of the channel would know, we get up into the high country in Victoria a fair bit, so it was nice to actually be exploring another part of the high country, this time in New South Wales. So we've just turned off there onto the Blue Waterholes track, and that's about 6 or 7 k's through to Blue Waterholes, and Coolemon Homestead's along the way, as well as a couple of campgrounds. You can see there some good information on the Colemon karst area. So the whole area has got a lot of limestone and is known for limestone caves and formation, and you'll see some of that, particularly from the Nicholls Gorge walk, which again, not as much video footage as I would have liked, but I'll explain that as we get there, because really I wasn't ready for that walk, that hike. It should be a hike, it is a hike. But yeah, the drive in here is quite manageable, not too difficult at all. Just coming up here on the first campground. So as I said, there's a number of options. There's a campground back at Long Plain Hut. There's another campground just here. That's the Colemon Mountain Campground. So with fire pits, long drop toilets and picnic tables, really well set up actually. So that's certainly a camping option here. There wasn't actually anyone camping there when we went past. So from there it's through another open section of the plain and then on to the Coolamine Homestead. As you can see, the plain area here is just massive and open. We saw plenty of evidence of Brumbies. On this section of the trip we didn't see too many Brumbies. You can see this area here that we're just coming to now, it's sort of was muddier and more churned up than anywhere else on the track, and when we were leaving it was nearly dark, and we found out why. The Brumbies actually gather in there over night time, and that's why that's churned up to the extent that it is. So just coming here into Coolemon Homestead, which is one of the original homesteads for grazing up in this area. So it was first established back in 1839. Here we are, stopped at Coolemine Homestead, which is along the Blue Waterholes track on the way through to Blue Waterholes. These are remnants from a long grazing history in the valley here, and the land around here was purchased by New South Wales Parks and Wildlife back in only 1975. So until then it was in private ownership and used as sheep and cattle grazing. You used to be able to camp here, but it seems like as part of the conservation strategy they have ceased camping around the homestead area here. So that's the cheese hut. You can see there thick log construction for insulation, and this is inside the house where the walls were lined with old newspapers, which was a common practice at the time. The buildings have been really well looked after. You can see that one was taped off for a little bit of remediation work to be done. Very similar sort of construction to the high country huts that are of a similar time and era. Well worth visit. You could spend hours there. They've got a lot of information on the homestead and just a lot of history there in terms of how long people lived there and permanently lived up in this high plain area, running sheep and cattle in this area. So from there, we're continuing on towards Blue Waterholes. There is one more campground on the way, just outside the Blue Waterholes area. That's a parking area there on the right for one of the several long overland walks. And we're only about less than a kilometre out of Blue Waterholes. This is another campground. You can see the long drop there on the right. This is the Magpie flat camping area. Good selection of campsites, again with fire pits and tables built into a lot of them. We actually came back through this on our unplanned hike. Yeah, if you come to do the walks here, which I highly recommend that you do, plan ahead and understand what you're getting yourself into, unlike me. So from there, it's a short run down to the Blue Waterholes area. Now, at the moment, I think you can still camp down here, but I did read some information that, again, due to high traffic, high use, and proximity to the waterway, that may change and it may become a day use only area. So that's something to keep an eye out. But look, even if you can no longer camp at Blue Waterholes, there's plenty of camping options very close by. So you can see this looks like this area is still available for camping at this time. Just not sure how long that's going to continue for. Another long drop toilet here, so well serviced for facilities and amenities. So this is the walking area. We originally planned to do the Clarke Gorge walk out to the east to Coolemon Falls. We ended up doing the Nicholls Gorge walk there, which is about 6 kilometres all the way around over some pretty steep terrain. We really didn't know what we were getting into, and sort of found out the hard way. So this is at the end of the walking track down to start the Clarke Gorge
so
walk.
There's
and
the track crossing.
Runs across
back there, across to the other side. We've taken this side track down along the river for now. Amazing scenery here, and we might yet have to get our feet wet if we want to actually see the waterfalls and the gorge walk.
So by the look of how much water was there, we decided to head north up to the actual Blue Waterholes, and then decided to tackle the Nicholls Gorge walk. So that's actually Blue Waterholes there. There's a spring that feeds that, which is why downstream from Blue Waterholes there's more water in the river.
Section where it's a bit higher, but don't tread on the rocks, tread on the gravelly bits that you can see. The reedy.
So this is the start of the Nicholls Gorge
keep
walk.
coming.
And we had some unwilling participants that weren't super keen on getting their feet wet, but once they got into it, they were leading the way well and truly. We were wondering when we're doing this walk why there was no bridges or crossing points that were a bit better, but apparently this cave creek rarely has water in it. So we were tail end of winter, we were lucky to see it with water. As you can see now, I've got a lot of stills here and not a lot of video footage because we sort of had a big hike in front of us, bigger than we'd planned, and I just didn't take a lot of video footage. I was just focusing on putting one foot in front of the other. It was pretty hard work. Difficulty wise, this is rated as a 4 out of 5 by National Parks. That's one of the first caves just there along the Nicholls Gorge walk, and you can go across there if you want to get your feet wet, as we did. So that's me inside that cave. Now, these caves do go in a lot deeper than the starting area here, but you really need to know what you're doing and have proper caving equipment if you want to go and explore them. And I think you need a permit as well. So the track actually crisscrossed this cave creek. We lost count of how many times we crossed this creek. Basically, we all got pretty much wet feet up above the knee, just because of how deep it was. It's hard to believe that apparently this creek rarely has water in it, but that's what the signs in the National Parks website says. It was a really good adventure, yeah, me probably being the most unfit in the family, struggled with it the most, I think. I wasn't going too bad until we got to the second cave. You can see there, look how amazing the rock formations were. It was well worth the effort to get out there and see this. So I definitely recommend you check it out. Yet another river crossing there. More used to doing these in the car. I must say it's a bit easier. So that's the second cave. The track actually goes up the left-hand side of that cave, so you can see the big rock on the left-hand side of the entrance. That's the track running up to the left there, and that's the view from the top looking back down the valley. So yeah, climbing up there kind of did me in. We'd done sort of probably 3 k's of hiking at that point, and the climb up there did me in. It's relatively flat across the top as you walk around there, a few ups and downs, and then you come down the other side. Now, we did see some Brumbies on this trip. We actually saw them in a few different places. There was only a couple of spots we got footage, and this was one of them. So you can see them just over the hill there having a good look, seeing what we're about and what we're up to. And yeah, Sharon shot some amazing footage of the Brumbies there, which was really cool to see. For a handheld camera, the Sony does a really good job. So this is shot at 4K, zoomed in on a handheld camcorder, and they were probably a good few hundred meters away from us. So it's just amazing what the handheld camcorders can do. As you can see there's some pretty big horses in amongst that mob. Now I know the Brumbies have been fairly controversial of late. To me, I think I see them as part of the high country. I mean, there's no doubt they have an impact. We saw evidence of that everywhere with, a lot of the tracks marked up with their hooves and a lot of their deposits everywhere. But to me, they've been part of the high country for such a long time, even though they're not native. I'm not super a fan of culling them, but that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, as you can see, quite a good sized mob of them there, and that's just one of the mobs. We did see others. They really were too far away though to be able to get any meaningful sort of footage. So this walk, the Nicholls Gorge walk, took us about, I think, 5.5, 6 hours. It's really reasonably rough going in places. So definitely plan for a long hike, take more water than we did, and understand what you're into. So this is on the home straight. That tree line over in the distance there, sort of about middle of the picture, is kind of where the Blue Waterholes campground is and where the car is. So we're almost there. So look, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, it's not our usual four-wheel drive content, but really wanted to share this with you guys. It was a great spot to visit, and I certainly recommend that you check it out if you're in the area. As always, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.